A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism one letter at a time.
Right.
Welcome back to A's for Alcoholic, everybody. If you don't know, now you know. I think that was Mr.
Big Smalls.
What was he talking about?
If you don't know what's up, now you know what's up.
Oh, because he was telling you what was up. He was the one who
if in your insular little world you didn't understand what was happening out in the fucking streets of Bedford-Stuyvesant, now you fucking know.
In your
94 Honda Civic going to Tucson Mall to shoplift.
Is that what was happening?
That's what I was doing. I had to go to the tattoo shop the other day early in the morning to pick up a shirt. One of my coworkers is printing out shirts and they're awesome. I have it. I was going to wear it today, but I got to sew it. I have to adjust it because it's too big. And when I was driving back, I was on like Sirius XM because whatever. We had the satellite radio comes to the car and I was listening to the Lithium channel.
Ooh.
Which is it's all Gen X music. It's all fucking grunge and just, I don't know, dude. But on the drive back, like I always feel a little sad when I leave the tattoo shop in the morning because I'm like, dang, dude, I haven't tattooed in months. I don't know what's going on in my career. And it's this bittersweet kind of sadness. And on the drive back, like, I swear to God, I hit this red light and I was like jamming out and it was like, I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball.
God.
And I was like singing along to the shit, like, if I had $1 million, spend it all.
I thought you were gonna say like, worn out faces, worn out faces.
It's not a grunge song, is it?
No, it's not.
No,
no,
that's from the 80s era.
It's early. It's from the 80s, but
it made me think about you actually, because when I first met you and you were living in your little apartment, and then I came back and you had ended up from the boys' house down on Nickerson. No, it wasn't in Seattle. It was in Eugene. The Flint Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys would like listen to Sublime all the time. Like we would get loaded.
Yes, I did.
Sublime. And there was like a weird fucking toothless dude on the cover of one of the albums, and you're like, oh, that's old Ronnie. Like you knew all their lore and like their backstory and shit. And I just thought of John, and I was like, what a trip that me and John would fucking like get drunk and listen to Sublime. Or well, like our friend would make a mixtape, but he gets so drunk and he's making it, he put Badfish on it 10 times in a row.
Yes, he was so blacked out that he just kept and at one point you heard on that mixtape like the rewinding just to listen to the song again.
Forgot
and then he just forgot he was making a mixtape and had to listen to that track again.
And he's like, yo, Badfish is my jam, dude. And then I lived in this shitty apartment when my ex-girlfriend dumped me in 2005, and I turned 30 in my blackout apartment. Like that was like one of my low points. And the downstairs neighbors had this huge party, and I think they were all fucked up on heroin or something because they were all nodding off, and they had Badfish on repeat. And I played for like 3 fucking hours through the floor, loud as balls. And I was like way too much of a soy boy to go downstairs. You know what I'm saying? I was way too much of a soy boy, dude, you know. Gone down there, knocked on the door, and been an alpha, dude.
I saw Sublime live once.
No, wait, after the dude died though.
No, before. So this was 1996 or 95.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. And I was living in Ventura, California, and I didn't really have any friends that first. I mean, I had a couple of friends. But I didn't, and I was like, but I want to go see Sublime, and I can't listen to Sublime now. It's the same reason I can't really listen to the Beastie Boys that much. Like I've just heard it all, right? And I think it had its time and its place, and I'm kind of moved on from that. Mm-hmm. Like no offense to anybody who loves Sublime or loves the Beastie Boys today. Like it's just not my thing. But I just remember going to the Sublime show, and he had the Dalmatian came out on the stage, and
he was high,
smelled like marijuana. Everybody was. I think I was the only one who wasn't high, and I wasn't drunk. And I don't remember.
You're in your Blockbuster shirt. You had just
Basically,
gotten off
yes.
your shift at Blockbuster from stealing 5 copies of Blue Velvet.
Oh God. I mean, do I have to make amends for that too? Did we talk about that
Probably.
already? That
No.
I used to work at Blockbuster, and I used to I had a deal with the guy who worked a local record store, and I remember specifically stealing a copy of Leprechaun 3 and trading it for like,
Yeah.
did we talk about this? I talked to somebody about this, and like,
You've talked to me about it in the past, but not. I don't think we've done it on the pod about you and your fucking larceny at the
oh
fucking
Jesus. And
the
I got
double P,
busted.
dude.
I got busted, man. I gave him Leprechaun 3, and I think I got like Rancid's album Let's Go. That was like the trade at that
It
point.
wasn't even Out Come the Wolves. It was like, yeah.
No, it was the one before.
Mhm.
And I think that, so I got busted. And so they knew some shit was going on, and I don't know what they had. I had this whole quote unquote system, right?
Right. Oh
And
no, I
I knew
know the
where
system.
I knew where the cameras were, and I knew how to like get the video cassettes here and there and get the cover boxes, and I'd move them around, and I was like doing all this shit. And then they wanted me. They were like basically trying to get everybody to rat everybody out. And I just remember sitting in there, and I'm not saying anyone did anything else. I'm simply saying that everybody was interviewed, and when they asked me, I said, I don't know. I only know what I did, and this is what I did.
Hmm.
And
Wait, was everybody gaming the Blockbuster?
well, I mean, I can't really tell you, right? Because I mean, I'm not a narc, but
Dude, you're holding on to your sources from like Jesus Christ, like 24,
96.
25 years ago.
So
Was that
I
24 years ago? Is that longer than? It's longer
yeah,
than 24 years ago. Holy shit.
it's
Woo,
26.
okay.
It's 26 years ago.
6 years
So
ago.
I let's just say that you had a bunch of people who were working for 4.25 an hour who
Yeah,
didn't give
dude.
a fuck.
Fucking minimum wage. Holy
So
shit. So
so they
yeah.
took me in, and I just said, nope, just me as far as I know. I can't. You have to talk to everybody else. And the dude, like the loss prevention guy, had his little CRX, and we drove to my house, and I gave him a bunch of the CDs that I had purchased, because I would steal stuff and then I would sell them, or I would keep them or whatever. So like I remember giving him like Melancholy, the Infinite Sadness, and like Tragic Kingdom, and whatever other fucking just
Right.
90s grunge
He
lithium
probably
XM radio.
didn't even do nothing. He probably kept that shit and listened to it in the
So
car.
and I remember then I moved out. I was living with my mom, and I moved out, and I said, I'll pay you $25 a month, because that's all I got. I ain't got no money. I'm making
Mhm.
$4.25 an hour. 4.25 an hour. That was like $25 is a whole shift
Yeah.
after taxes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I
Oh
think
my
I
God.
paid him one payment, because I owed him, we came to an agreement that I would pay him $500. I paid him one payment, and then I didn't have any money because I was literally broke. I think I was washing dishes, and I didn't have a job, and every dollar I had went to the rent, and and so I just wrote him a letter saying I don't have any money, maybe next month, and I never heard from them again.
Mhm.
And that was
Oh,
26
so that dude just took your money, bought a
basically.
fucking couple of half racks. Yeah.
Um
I could just picture you being questioned like your fucking verbal Kent in The Usual
mhm.
Suspects. And when you walk out, you go from your limp to your normal walking, and the Blockbuster loss prevention dude looks over at the poster of like 4 weddings and a funeral, and he just drops his fucking big gulp, like son of a bitch, and you're like, the best trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world it didn't exist or some shit like that. Da 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 da. You walk out, he's just looking at a copy of Beethoven, with fucking
Beethoven's
that
Fifth
dog and
Symphony.
yeah, no, that dog with that dog movie with John Ritter. Or no, that was
No, it was Grodin.
Grodin. John Ritter was in the one about that fucking sociopathic kid.
That was Problem Child.
Yeah, the sociopath. There's
Charles
this
Grodin was in the
Grodin
Beethoven.
was in Beethoven. So yeah, he's looking at it because it just flashes back to you, and you're like, yeah, I was in a barbershop quartet in Grodin, Illinois. We sang the songs of Beethoven.
Mm-hmm.
Ever tell you about the time I went to 4 weddings and a funeral?
So, and I think Usual Suspects actually was out on video that year.
Yeah.
But so I mean, yes,
Traded it for fucking a PM Dawn, CD.
basically probably. I mean, I don't know what to do with like that kind of stuff. I mean, at that point, I feel like some of those amends need to just kind of.
Blockbuster doesn't exist, so it's one of those ones you can't really. I mean, there's one left in Bend, Oregon. I guess you could write them a letter. The Blockbuster Corporation is not. I don't think it's. Well, it must be an entity because there's one left, but I don't.
I don't
God
know.
only knows, John. Yeah.
So I don't know what to do about it. I guess I'll do nothing. And,
It is trading the Hunt for Red October for like Green Day's Dookie.
basically,
Yeah.
so anyhow, yeah, that intro today is for alcoholic. I do want to say a couple of things too before we get into the meat and the gristle of our conversation today. I'd like to thank Alex for joining us on Patreon.
Thanks, Alex.
So thank you very much. It really it helps us out.
Pew, pew,
We
pew.
appreciate it. And
Mhm.
and if you want to join us too, patreon.com/AIFA, and you can get you get all of our episodes early. And we are working on I found a list of movies to do. I found a list of sober movies or alcoholic movies, and so we do movie reviews on occasion when we can find the time to put it all together. So patreon.com/AIFA. And then also I'd like to apologize for those of you who are watching us on YouTube right now. My hair is just out of control. Like, I'm glad that the headphones kind of like
Right.
do something
I don't
for
get
it.
it. Well, I guess because you have other shit. I like comb my hair, put on a clean shirt. Like, you just show up looking like you at that Blockbuster loss prevention interview, just sweating, flop sweating, just.
I was surprised at how much I didn't feel. I mean, I was terrified, but like I didn't feel
Just
the
didn't
need to like rat everybody out
Right.
for what was going on there.
That's because you fucking gangster, dude. You know. You do it for the family. You ain't
For the
no
family.
Fredo, dude.
Ain't no Fredo.
No
Maybe
Fredo.
That's a good T-shirt. You should do that one. Ain't no
Ain't
Fredo.
no Fredo. I don't know about that. Yeah, that's like some
No.
weird right wing shit. But yeah.
But yeah, and then also we got this email, and I didn't want to read the whole thing out loud from one of our listeners, Vinny, and it was touching. It was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
heartfelt, and I just wanted to say, I mean, congratulations on a month sober, man. I mean, that's such a huge accomplishment, and I don't want to diminish like saying like, oh, Jerry's got 6 years sober, right? But it feels like,
I
the
do.
days get easier. Yeah, well, I mean, so far. But those first days and those first months, like, it's so hard because it's so new and it's so different from everything that we have known, learned, and taught ourselves about booze and about life and all that
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also what I love about this, and what I really loved about the letter was, when Jerry and I were doing our pre-recording, pre-on-air discussion, and it's a lot of it is, well, how's it going, and everything's okay, and well, life sucks, and what were I don't know. The thing was like, well, life sucks because I got to go to work. I'd say something like that, and like fucking a million people are out of work right now, and so it's like, and he writes this letter about how he came from basically the brink, and I don't want to read it out loud, but
Yeah.
without asking him, but like, it puts in perspective these things that we get so stuck in our head. And you were saying a couple of things too that seemed silly in comparison.
So you know what I mean? Yeah. It just I want to thank that listener, because it really did put my day in perspective. Like, I came into this today feeling mildly agitated and being like, oh, fucking gotta do this podcast about some shit I'm not even really feeling right now. Dude, this fucking shit Dave can't even get my whatever. I fucked my shirt up in the dryer. I had to work out, didn't want to. Ran out of my contact lenses. What a fucking travesty. What a, of life, this tragedy. And then you read this thing to me, and it just puts me right back to the beginning, and how we were in the beginning, and how other people are outside of my world are having beginnings right now and starting. And it's not like, I don't know, man. It's not like this whole new world, whole new world, and everything's all shiny and beautiful, and there's all this this hope and promise. It's like scary shit. It's scary, scary shit because your body is like, what the fuck are we doing? We're not doing the thing that we're used to doing all the time. And your brain is just like, where's your coping mechanism now, dude? You know? So
Mm-hmm.
it just reminds me of the beginning, and it makes me, yeah, I feel grounded when you tell me these things or read these things to me. So it's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for the email. It really did put a lot of things in perspective. And with
Yeah.
that, our podcast is done. So yeah, put another one in the basket, John.
Oh man. And it's really, yeah, I love that there's all these people who are having these new beginnings, right?
Right,
And
right.
you had yours and I had mine. And it's sometimes easy to go, well, I got that sobriety thing handled. And now I can complain about my, that I didn't get
Right,
enough sleep, or that I
right.
contact lenses, or whatever it is,
Mhm.
And I think too, one of the other things that he said in the email, and I just want to bring it up really quickly, and I hope it's quickly, um, was that um, well, one, the 4th of July, which was your date as well, that
Mhm.
he quit. Oh, was something about he was feeling a little trepidatious about the online meetings. And I wanted to say that I too was exactly that way in March. When all this shit went down, I had my little routine. I went to my weekly meeting. I knew the people there. I felt comfortable. There was all the good long-term sobriety. It wasn't, everything was very stable. And then they shut the shit down, and I was like, I don't know what to do, and I don't
Mhm.
want Zoom meetings, man. Like, I don't need that. And I've been going to this Zoom meeting on Sunday mornings,
I missed
and
it yesterday.
you'll be back, you'll come. Well, it's all good.
Yeah, I had to do something.
Yeah, it's fine. But I think that the thing that I've learned is that, well, the Zoom meeting's fine. I don't even really have to get dressed.
No,
You don't have to even have the video
you don't
on.
get dressed for this podcast, dude.
No, I don't. I've got this. This is just like the workout shirt, and I've got shorts on. And I mean, I guess I fucking probably should like set up the background a little bit better, and like get some of those
Uh,
rope lights and a ring light. And I'm
right.
kind of like,
Ah, whatever. I mean, I'm
but
in my wife's office. I'm just teasing you.
hmm
I was just
no,
admiring your Helly Hansen cut. You got that nice Helly Hansen shirt
I don't
on.
know who that is. Oh yeah,
It's
this
done.
is
It's just a workout brand that you get from like
uh
TJ Maxx.
basic. This is what this is. This is like the Ross Dress for Less,
Boom.
$6 shirt.
Let's dress for
Um,
less.
so what was I saying? Oh, the Zoom meetings.
Hmm.
It's really helpful because I don't even have to
Yeah.
have the video on, and I'm just listening. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like, for anybody who's ever just been like lurking, on the internet, it's perfect because you get to have this sort of, you can sit, you can listen. You don't have to, if you feel trepidatious about sharing, you don't have to share. The one I go to, they kind of go in alphabetical order, and you can always pass,
Yeah.
right? You don't
Yeah.
have to share anytime. You don't have to, they're like, well, what about you, sir? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right. You're like, I'm just here to listen.
I'm just here to listen,
Mm.
or you can leave anytime too. It's much easier. And
Way easier than trying to leave with like you're in the middle of someone sharing some sad shit and I gotta get up and go pee and my keys start jingle jangling and I'm just like me.
on the plastic chair or
Yeah,
something.
kicking a metal folding chair on accident. Brrr! Yeah, way easier. Just a Zoom meeting, all you do is just like X out, and nobody
Uh-huh.
even notices you're gone, really.
So I think I would highly suggest, and again, it's not for everybody.
Right.
And
And it is a little intimidating. Dude, going to a meeting in general is fucking intimidating. And now you got to factor in the computer aspect to it. Yeah, it can
well,
be incredibly daunting.
and I know because I spent 6 months now putting it off and putting it off and putting it off.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then my girlfriend would be like, "Well, what's wrong with you, man? Like, what are you? You seem bothered. You seem irritated. You seem irritable, restless, and discontent." She wouldn't use those words, but those are the words that she was, that's the feeling that was there. And it's like, oh, I need to be doing this stuff because this is what grounds me, right? This is what
Right.
makes me feel better. This is what puts me in a perspective to say, oh, my life ain't that bad.
Yeah.
My problems are pretty fucking small. So, which is not to minimize ourselves, I don't think, right? It's
Right.
more if I can get perspective that my problems are small, then I can be of better service to other people. That's kind of like how I like to look at it. I can be like,
Right.
okay, so now that I've alleviated my narrow perspective, I can have I have a broader base from which to just to help people if something comes my way,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's it it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So, if you're feeling trepidatious about it, I understand. I would suggest lurking
Yeah.
in the shadows until you feel comfortable to show your face. And honestly, there's plenty of people who are doing the exact same thing. I went to one Zoom
There are.
meeting. Dude was like, he was like sharpening an axe, like on
Yeah,
camera.
you told me about that. Yeah. I was thinking about just finishing sewing the patch on my hat through this whole podcast, but I didn't.
Yeah.
It's very trepidatious. It is very intimidating. And another thing you got to remember too is you just got to hang in there.
Oh,
Just really
look
got to
at
hang in.
that.
Yeah.
And that's our letter for today. The letter is H. Hey, hang in there,
Hey,
baby.
hey, you hang in there.
And for those of you who don't know, go Google "Hang in There, Baby," and you'll get there was an old poster from I guess our childhood, but probably before
Way before, like 70s. Well, our childhood is 70s, 80s.
70s. And it was a little kitten hanging from a limb, and it was basically like whatever's going on, it ain't that bad. Just hang in there. Um, and again, we're in a very hyper, and I think thankfully so, hypersensitive time, and not wanting to minimize anybody's pain or suffering, right? But hanging in there is part of this business.
Yeah.
At least it is for me.
Yes.
And realizing like we've talked about mindfulness and living in the moment and these kinds of things, and also what COVID is brought us to these days is like, okay, well, today's the only thing that matters.
Right.
But I know that if I'm having a really good day, I better fucking enjoy it because it's not going to last.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also learned that if I'm having a bad day or a bad week or even a bad month, like I'm starting to, gain a little more perspective, and it's like it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Just it never has.
Yeah.
Has it? No.
No. No, it's all temporary. It really is. It all passes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um.
What is that Simpsons joke where Marge sees a hang in there poster and she's like, well, that cat's got a good attitude. And the doctor's like, that cat is long dead.
Yeah. This Marge Simpson. But yeah, I just I can't stress it enough that it's gonna pass, whatever it is. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that makes it feel any better. It certainly
No,
does.
but I think realizing that it is temporary, is definitely helpful, and to
Mhm.
be able to feel through it. And it could apply to a lot of different things outside of alcoholism. Like I know people personally who have COVID and have had symptoms now, have been sick now since since April. Still
Mhm.
sick now, and having to take new medications for their heart and their lungs and stuff, and they're still hanging on and hanging tight because all you can do is just continue living. You just got to push through the onslaught, because
Mhm.
eventually it ends, even outside of alcoholism. Because I was having a hard time getting that out, but when we when I use the concept of hang in there, it's not really necessarily for like hang in there and don't drink. For me personally, for some people it is. People at the beginning, like just hang in there, don't drink. It's gonna get better. You'll get through it. I promise you. And there will be, if you stick with it and hang in there, there will be an existence in your life where you no longer have to drink anymore. You know what I'm saying? And for me now, it's more like I need to hang in there and keep my attitude somewhat positive, if not just completely positive, because those negative thoughts eventually end up with me drinking. So I guess in a roundabout way, it is about me drinking, you know, because those negative thoughts, that fuck it bucket we always talk about, the shit fuck stack and the fucking bucket, you know, like that fuck it is what will lead me to drink, you know. So maybe it is a roundabout way for me to not drink. Huh.
Well, yeah,
Food
there
for
you
thought, corn dog. Yeah.
go. I think too, you and you know, you have 6 years and I have 5 years. And so
Right.
that's not a long time. I don't
Right.
think it doesn't feel like a long time because I'm still trying to process all this stuff and learn it. And so we're still coming off the end of, or the tail end of 2 decades of power drinking through every
Right.
single day
Right.
and ignoring every single feeling and being angry and frustrated and sad and depressed and, you know, confused. And so it makes sense that still everything today ends up being about our drinking because
Yeah.
it's easy today to go, yeah, I don't really think about alcohol, but it used to be that that's all that I thought about all the time, every single day,
Yes.
every
Yeah.
single minute. And
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I forget about that sometimes.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't.
even think about it for days at this point. And then I'll
Mhm.
be like, oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I forgot about that. Is that weird? I mean, I'm not trying to be cocky about it. It's not like a cocky thing like, oh, look at me. I've got my shit handled. Because I don't. I'm trying. I'm handling it constantly. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the idea of handling my emotions and checking my temperature and checking who I am as a person, my mental temperature. So, but yeah, there are days where I don't even, it doesn't even occur to me. And then one day I'll be like watching something and I'm like, oh, right. I can't just have a bourbon like a gentleman.
No,
I'm a
you
shit
can't.
show. Yeah, I forget,
Yeah.
which is comforting, I guess.
It is. And I think that I think it's important to remember. I think especially in the beginning, but also just on a regular basis. I was texting with you last week.
Mm.
I'm not sure why, but I have been digitally cataloging these old videotapes that we had, some of
You
them with
did. I
you, some of
remember
them
this text
without
message.
you.
Yeah. Hmm.
And at one point, as we're digging up the past and talking about things, and this is like '03 or something, or '04, and at one point it's just me and my roommate, and we're both wasted. Like you can see a Jaeger bottle on the floor.
Right.
It's a fucking mess. There's this table, like stacks of CDs everywhere. Like that's because that's what we would just, you know, just listen to music and get drunk, and that was the thing. And at some
That's
point
it. Yeah.
I just get fucking completely naked, and he's on the couch laughing because I'm like just
Where's
running
the
around the
camera? You have a
room.
tripod, or is he just filming
No,
you
he's just fucking
laughing?
holding it. He's just like,
Oh
ah,
my God.
and I'm just like fucking naked, just dancing because I'm blackout drunk, and
Hmm.
I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh my God, do I need to keep this? Can I just destroy this? And I think I told you I was kind of feeling embarrassed, and I was just feeling sad, and you're like, well, just don't forget. Whatever you
Right.
do,
But it trips,
don't
and I
forget.
get that feeling of shame because you're not you're embarrassed for yourself in that moment. You're like alone looking at this, going, "God damn, I was so embarrassing." Like to yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, when you texted me, my first thought was, I wonder what "They Might Be Giants" song it was, and then
I'll tell you.
my second thought was like, don't forget, this is a good reminder. Like we get into these places where we're like, it's not about how long you've been sober. It's about what you're learning in the time you are sober, right? That's
Okay.
my first thing I want to say. But we forget sometimes, like we forget with our long periods of time and when the physical craving of alcohol is gone, and so now you're addressing the mental craving for it. Like you can't forget why you're dealing with the mental craving of alcoholism. You know what I mean? You can't forget it. And so to you, I think that's a good thing. I'm glad you saw it. Yeah, it was painful probably and incredibly
Hmm.
embarrassing, but I think it was like a boon in a way for you because you're like, wow, that's what I am. That's who I am when I drink. That's who I become again. You know, like,
Hmm.
yeah. So you're like, what do I think? I don't remember what you had written me, but I'm like, just don't forget that shit. Don't feel bad about it. Like, don't beat yourself up about it, but don't forget it. Just remember. Because I have reminders.
Yeah.
I see them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that fucking guy. That's me, but damn.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. What was the song? So
God,
furious.
it was James K. Polk. It was a
Oh,
song
it
about
wasn't even a sexy song. It was about
a former president. It
our
was
11th president.
our
Yeah.
11th president. Yeah.
Young
So,
Hickory, dude. Napoleon
oh
of the
my
Stump.
gosh.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, and it was just there was lots of it. There was hours of this of me either sitting on the couch and trying to talk to people or
Right.
us arguing with each other. Like there was no I think at some point like there was one that was Christmas and we were all eating mushrooms, and so at one point I'm just pouring beer on the carpet because it looks cool, and so I'm
Uh-huh.
filming it thinking that it's going to look cool later on camera.
When you sobered up. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And so I mean, I don't think I'm going to do anything with these with the video, but I just digitized them and I'll just put them in a file and I'll put them on an external hard drive
Put
and
them
they'll
on a
be there.
folder on your desktop that just says reminder.
Yeah,
And
don't
so
drink.
next time you're like, damn, this world sucks. Everything's fucked up. Using the post office now is illegal. I'm
Mhm.
just going to drink. Then you can click on that folder and be like, oh, right. Not
Yeah.
only is the post office illegal, but now I'm going to be in a blackout. No thanks.
No, thanks. So it was really yeah, it was a good reminder. I just couldn't I was just blown I was blown away because I know that I behave that way,
Uh-huh.
but to sit there and like actively watch it from years down the road and sober, I
Yeah.
I would not have, you know, and I've had people, and my girlfriend said this at the beginning of our relationship. And again, this is like almost 5 years ago. And she's like, oh, I would like to have known you when you were drunk. And she said this
Send her
once.
the
And we,
videos.
and you
You're
know,
like,
I think
"It's me."
she didn't mean anything by it. She was just like,
No,
oh,
of
you know,
course
like,
not. That's
were you like a fun guy? Like, what was, you know, because she's curious, right? And I look back at these things and I'm like, no, no, you don't. I mean, the idea, the notion of it seems fine. And it was probably, it might have been fun for the first hour or two, but,
I was going to say fun for hour 1 through 3.
and then it's 5 o'clock in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
you're listening to fucking Santeria over and over or
Right.
Bad
Naked.
You're
Rolling
naked,
around in a puddle of beer. Yeah. Just,
right?
I
Like,
ain't got
none of
no
that.
crystal ball. Just peeing in your board
Mhm.
shorts.
Basically, God, it was just so, so yes, it was a good reminder that, I've come a long way. And I was also, you know, I just I don't ever want to be there. You're right. Put it in a folder. Call it reminder. Say hey.
Right. So next time, like, I don't know, next time a fucking aquavit sounds really good and you're
Mhm.
trying to class up your alcoholism, which you used to do all the time, you
Sure.
can be like, oh, yeah, that's where all that fucking Armagnac goes.
Let's
That's
talk
what
about that
happens
for
when
a
I have
second
nice
too.
smoky
Yeah.
Armagnac. What, the Armagnac?
Well, not
That's
the Armagnac.
it's the
We've told the
only
Armagnac
fancy
story, but
booze I can remember. So yeah, but
yeah.
let's talk about it. I really
Well,
can't.
I just that there was this level of pretension and this level of what I genuinely saw as like research and development as a bartender.
Oh
Um
yeah, of course, dude. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I would sit there with, you know, with like you or Coda or any of our other friends, and everybody just had their like basic shots and or drinks, you know, if you were just a Beam and Coke, and Coda just had to have his Crown Royal, you know, and
And
whatever.
a mayonnaise and a crown.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, oh, you got to try this, and there's this dark rum, and this is from Barbados, and I would just have all of these things, and I was really, I think in part I was genuinely excited, but you're right, I was just trying to dress up my alcoholism. It was just a way for me to um justify drinking as much as I did because I have to try them all, Jerry. I have to do the aquavit tasting,
Right. So
right? I
then
have
you can tell your clients, your customers, well, this aquavit tastes like shit, and this one tastes a little less like shit, and this one tastes like shit mixed with burning plastic, because aquavit is fucking gross.
gross. For those of you who don't know, and it's a sober podcast, but
Yeah, right. I know.
It's
Let's talk
Scandinavian
about
liqueur that
Mhm.
tastes like rye bread. It's disgusting, and you
It
should stay
is.
away from
It's got some hints of anus. I mean, anise.
it.
Boom.
Yes.
You see, that's some
Uh-huh.
quality dad humor. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, but I can see where you were coming from, and I think it was justifiable. but you're an alcoholic, so you're like, it's not like
Yeah.
smelling it and then tasting it and be like, that's pretty good, and then you go back to your dinner. It's like smell it, taste it, and then you drink 7 Rumplemans after that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always give you a hard time about that when we were drinking. Like, why you gotta church it up, John? A hobo in a suit is just a fucking hobo, John.
Mm-hmm.
Why you gotta church it up?
And that was the one time I remember I took Jerry to my favorite cocktail lounge. Like we went down there, and it's funny, the guy who owns it, who
Alibi.
runs it.
Yeah.
No, it was the Zigzag
Oh, the zigzag. Yeah.
in Seattle, and he's been sober 15 years.
Yeah.
And he loves, I mean, he loves hosting people. He loves everything about it. He's so he, everyone has their own way of coming about it. I don't think I could ever do that, but he's
nice.
very passionate about like the food and drink, even being sober, And I remember sitting there and I was like, dude, that's Murray the Blur. Like he's like quintessential, class. He's like the Yoda of bartending. And Jerry's like, yeah, just give me a Beam and Coke.
Yeah, like I don't give a fuck.
And I got this like $15 glass of Armagnac, and I was like sipping on it like it was something fancy. And Jerry thought it was just whiskey or something. He takes a shot of it, takes a hit of it, and spits it out all over the bar. And I'm like, "You're embarrassing me."
Yeah, it was like $15. I mean, you
Jesus.
spit my 50. You barfed my. It wasn't barf. I just spit it all out because I said, John, I want a shot. I want something fancy like a buttery nipple. I need something fancy with some whipped cream in it.
Uh-huh.
Right, and that was your version of fancy, which is fine. That story is our classic, like fucking Odd Couple, Felix Unger, fucking I don't know the other guy's name, Walter Matthau. That's
Felix
like our
Oscar.
That's our Oscar. That's our Felix and Oscar moment there in our friendship, where you were like, our drinking friendship, where you were like, I drink this fancy shit, and Jerry drinks the swill of the common man.
Basically.
Yeah.
But I don't. It was an excuse, and that's fine.
Yes,
and I
that's
mean, I
fine.
guess it was, there was a certain level of
It's just another aspect of the pathology, dude.
Mhm.
It's just another aspect of like what we did, or the we were in, you know what I mean? All the distraction of what we did. It's just another aspect of it, dude. It's just another
Yeah.
aspect of it. Yeah.
And I'm just so glad I don't have to do that shit anymore.
Nah. I mean, it's now even in your life, the way you consume things, it's not like you're like, oh, I need to get this fancy short grain rice that was grown on a Himalaya. You're just like, yo, I like the good, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I need to get sweet potatoes that were grown in a especially arid portion of Georgia, grown by a Costa Rican farmer.
No, I really don't anymore, man. I've become very basic in my, I've tried to be basic in my needs, and that's not true. There's some things where I'll be like, if it seems important to me, because I think too, another aspect of my alcoholism was, and I think a lot of people's, is the fact that we'll spend a lot of money on bar tabs and we'll spend a lot of money on booze. And when it comes to spending money on other things that will enhance our lives or enrich our lives or will make us comfortable or happier genuinely, we go like, yeah, I don't know, man, that seems like a lot of money. And I'm like, well, I'll give you an example. So, I've dealt with sleep issues, and like, I've been hating these fucking pillows, and I've been hating these pillows, and I've been like, you know what? I remember when I was in San Luis Obispo, there was this like crushed bamboo pillow, and I really enjoyed it. So I know, it already sounds
No, it's great. I need new pillows, but go ahead.
So it wasn't crushed is the wrong word. It was like chopped or shredded or something, right? And I was like, wow, this is great. And I never got it because they were really expensive. And so I'm like shopping, and I'm thinking, and I was like, well, they're like $30 per pillow. And I'm like, that's a lot of fucking money. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I don't know if I'm going to have a job in 2 months.
$30 for pillows, not a lot of money.
So that's
your perception of it. Yeah, you can buy a pillow for like $150. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you cheap.
No, but that's my perception. You cheap ass. Like, this is, so I went ahead and I bought some, I'm gonna get some new pillows delivered. And and I have issues with that. Like, is this the right thing? Should I be having delivery drivers out there running around fucking coronavirus bringing me pillows, and it's like, I mean, so everything's complicated these days, right? Wanting to do
Yes.
the right
Yeah.
thing, but I was like, I'm gonna buy $60 worth of pillows, which I would never hesitate to spend $60 on a round of drinks.
That was easy. That was nothing. That was one round for like fucking 8 of us or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was
No
$60.
problem.
It's like,
Let's go.
let the good times roll. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What takes the importance definitely
Um,
changes.
and that same
Man,
house.
go ahead.
I just keep your thought, but just really quickly, something that you said to me back in like '03 when you came to visit us in that apartment in Seattle, and we had our trash can was like a little plastic grocery bag from like 7-Eleven that was hanging
Yeah.
off the fucking sink, the door in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
And what did you say? You were
Can't
just
remember.
appalled.
I was
You were
just
just
like,
upset. You're like, you guys can't fucking just go buy a fucking trash can. You don't have a trash can. You don't use a trash can. You just go
yeah.
get a trash can. You put a liner in it, man. You got like you're using 7-Eleven bags hanging off the.
Yeah. I was like,
Um,
I will buy you a fucking trash can.
Right.
You have a car, like drive me to the Fred Meyer. I'll buy you a trash can. I was like, who fucking raised you people
It was
that you
too-
I
Why
would
buy-
go into your house and be like, why is there nothing on the walls? Like there's nothing on the wall. Like someone hung a CD from a thumbtack and that was like your decoration. It was like a mixed CD.
It was so
And
bad.
it would blow me away. Yeah. Coda also was super minimalist as well. Coda would have like one dead flower nailed to his wall and like a picture of like a bass fisherman, and that was it. And I was like, you guys, this is the saddest shit I've ever seen.
One CD and a thumbtack.
It was one CD to thumbtack, and it was Tragic Kingdom or something
Yeah.
like you said earlier. It was like Aqua, Barbie Girl.
So I
So-
just that perspective has changed.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna tell you about the pillow thing though. That's really important. Like my mom was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I was like, "I need new down pillows because I really like the real squishy down pillows, like the real dense and not fluffy, but like real dense, you know." So she bought me these 2 down pillows, man, and I used them for 2 days, and like I had insomnia for 2 days. I couldn't fucking fall asleep. They wouldn't get cold enough, and they were too can't explain it. They were just too firm. I ended up giving them to Megan. I'm like, happy birthday. Here's some pillows. So the pillow thing is important for your sleep. It really can be. It really can be. We're not kids anymore. We can't just fall asleep on the fucking floor half under a coffee table. You know, it just doesn't work that way. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's important. That'll help.
Speaking of sleeping on the floor, there's this other thing that's come up in the last week, and that I wanted to share with you, and I guess with everybody. So last year, one of my crazy thoughts, plans, goals, schemes was I wanted to get Merrill running shoes to sponsor me and buy Mishka Shubali's van that he was selling last year. And then I was going to drive it around the country, and I was going to go running in races and running in like national parks, and I was going to sleep in it, and I was going to video the whole thing and like do like a whole YouTube deal and have this running shoe company pay for it, right? Like I'm the average guy. I'm not like a ultra athlete. Maybe that could be like a selling point, right? Like normal people run too. You never really see that. Now, I don't know. Maybe I was crazy. So I wrote a letter to like the chief marketing officer of Merrill. I wrote her a handwritten letter. I hit her up on Twitter. I hit her up on Facebook. I never heard anything.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
Just got a restraining order.
Basically. I was concerned there. I think you were like, hey, dude, what's up with you? You're always writing Mishka. Like, you need to be careful there, bro. You fucking,
Get a restraining
he's
order.
gonna
He's
get a
just
restraining
like, why does this guy keep bugging me? That's my Mishka impersonation.
Yeah.
This guy's driving me fucking crazy.
So my boss at the restaurant has this catering van that it needs to be serviced a little bit, and he's going to get it serviced and repainted so it doesn't have the restaurant logo on it. And I was like, I might be interested in buying that. That's part of what I wanted to do last year before COVID. Before COVID.
Well, way before COVID, yeah.
And, obviously I need to be saving money, and I've got a couple of credit cards, and I still have a car that I'm paying off. So it's not like I'm free and clear to just, buy a van and sleep in it. And certainly not if I'm no spring chicken. I can't just be sleeping on the floor, right? Got to have the right pillows. So there was this moment where I was kind of excited about something. and I haven't been
Yeah.
excited about something in a long time. And I was like,
Yeah.
so fuck. I mean, what if I get a good deal? You think he'll give me a good deal? Should I buy a van and start fucking tricking it out for a road trip next summer? Is that
Like living
insane?
in it. I mean,
Living in it?
dude, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm always the bad idea guy where I'm like, sounds like a good fucking idea, John.
Doesn't sound
Because
like a
I'm
good
like
idea?
living vicariously through
Oh,
you. Yeah, because I'm like, love my wife and kid, but like to me, I don't know actually. If I looked at Megan, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go live in a van for the next 2 months. She'd probably be like, all right, cool, good luck.
right.
Because she is so cool about that shit, but I don't know. Or she'd be like, why can't we come with you? But I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know if it sounds like I would say wait till the COVID clears. But I guess
Yeah.
this podcast isn't about you and your van life, which would be very interesting though. You podcasting out of a van, just a dude in recovery in a van.
We'd still do it. I would still find a way. I'd
Right.
find a Wi-Fi connection in the Walmart parking lot, and we'd do it
Right.
every week.
And I have to come down and run races with you. Shit, I don't want to
Sure.
run races.
Well, you say that now.
Till I run.
But-
Hey, I did 6 miles the other day though. I'm
There you
I'm
go.
pushing it up a little by little. I'm pushing it
Mhm.
up. I was sore.
6 is good.
Fuck though, dude. Yeah, 5's my average now.
Yeah.
5 twice a week. I know we're going to the running section of this now, but 5 twice a week, and then last week I switched it up and did 5 3 times. Five
Nice.
3 times. But my third day was 6 because I had. So now I'm thinking, fuck, maybe I should just focus more on running instead of lifting, because I do enjoy the running, but I do get tired of the same trail. Just go explore, go get lost in the
So
woods.
here's the other thing. You do have a car. You can go drive somewhere, even to the other side of the city.
Good. And I've considered doing that. There's another really nice trail that goes along
Yep.
the river, which would be beautiful, actually.
I highly suggest that. If it's COVID safe or whatever, if you feel comfortable, just go take the car somewhere, find a loop, or put it. You're gonna have the car at one end, go 2.5 this way and 2.5 that way.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, dude. That's
So-
a really good idea.
So yeah, so I was like, well, fuck. I mean, but I don't have them. I mean, basically, if the guy got the van cleaned up and it was good and I drove it and felt good about it, like it would be all the money I had, Jerry. It would be
Yeah.
like, and so I'm kind of torn as far as like, well, maybe I should just have faith. But I'm just a little trepidatious. So it was just something that
Yeah.
came up, but it was something I was excited about for the first time in a while. And then I was like, are you fucking crazy? You're 43. You're going to sleep in the back of a van for how long?
Yeah.
To do what? Like,
Right.
where are you
Damn,
going to
that
go?
is
What's the
reality,
plan?
though, right? Yeah.
Like,
Maybe you
how are
should just. Well, no, it costs too much money. I was gonna say maybe you should film yourself doing it for a few months and then put that as a little manila folder on your desktop that just says remember as well of that time you
But-
lived in a van and ran
How-
races for a living.
Could I do it for a living? Is there,
I mean, I don't know.
I got to
Could
start
you?
writing Nike and Adidas. And I mean, Gary
You
Vaynerchuk's
do.
got
You write everybody. It blows me away. You are like absolutely listeners out there. John writes everybody. Like when we started the podcast, he was writing Elton John and Ellen DeGeneres,
That's
who
true.
turned out to be a monster. But,
Right.
I
I didn't know. I didn't know.
She was just like saw your letter and was like, "Fuck your sobriety," and then spit on it, smashed it against the wall with all her other
Mhm.
letters from people she cursed.
I got a
Oh.
letter from Stephen King's assistant. That was cool.
Oh, you did?
I
See,
did,
John
yeah.
writes everybody. When she just the form letter where they just stamp his name on it.
It might have. Well, I don't think his name was on it, but she just basically said, I'm sure you understand that Stephen King used to write all his fans back, but if he did, he would have no time to write books, and you wouldn't want him to not write books now, would you? Was
Would you?
basically the tone.
Threatening you with it.
So,
I've
but
always
that was cool.
admired that though, that you do that, and you do that now more in your sobriety. That you never did that shit when you were drunk. This is like a new aspect of you that I've been recognizing over the past few years. Is that John will just write or send an email to it. Doesn't even give a fuck. You'll just email someone. I don't do that shit. I'm not
No.
like, dear whoever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I
no.
don't know. One thing that I've learned in sobriety is, I think when I was drunk, the answer was always no. And the
Mhm.
answer was always I can't. And the answer was why would I? And the answer was it'll never work. Like that was every single day. I was in I still have, like, I don't know about you, but I still have like very vivid memories of certain hangovers and periods in my,
Oh
like
God.
there's certain
yes.
ones where I'm just
Yes.
like, I remember exactly where I was laying. I can like the pain was that bad. And
Yes.
now it's like I've learned, well, the answer is always no if you don't ask. And we live in an age of Twitter. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess, I'll probably tweet out to Harmar Superstar one more time and see if he wants to be on the podcast, or, he's a
Yeah.
year sober, or whoever else. I mean, I'll probably ask John Joseph after I finish his book,
Mhm.
and so like, I don't know, why not? If Mishka Shubaly will come on, like that was like,
Yeah.
that fucking changed my life. Like his book changed my life, and then
Yeah,
getting
I
to meet
know.
him, and
Mhm.
for him to say yes to like an early morning hotel, he's like, I only got about 45 minutes. I'm like, I'm only gonna take 35. Like
Yeah.
I'll be in and out and
Yeah.
I won't fuck around.
That book did change your life because you weren't really running before.
No,
You weren't even you were exercising a little bit.
yeah, but I
Like when
wasn't.
we saw, how long have you been on this exercise now? Over a year?
Oh yeah,
Over a year.
year and a half,
When we
18 months.
saw, when did we see each other last in Portland for that Mike Doty show? Was that 2 years ago? Or was that a year ago?
That
That
was
was two
March
years
of
ago.
18, I think.
It was March of 18, right? Because you weren't working out yet.
Not hardcore. I had just like, yeah, no, not hardcore. I just started. So I had just started. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you read that book and you're like, I'm gonna start running, Jerry. And I'm like, it's probably on this podcast. I'm like, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Running's crazy. And I
So,
was walking everywhere
uh-huh.
like an old lady.
And you
Listening
were
to my
telling me, you're like, I can't run, man. It's not really my thing. I do my workout, and yeah, probably not. And so it's like,
I like it now.
yeah, it's just there's something to it. So I mean, yeah, I guess the point I was trying to make is, well, the answer is always no if you don't ask. And so it's
Right.
like, well, that's fine. People can say no to me, and I'm just gonna go ask somebody else. Um, but yeah, I just that it's easy to say things get better.
Yes.
It's a lot harder to remember it in my own life
It
sometimes.
really is, yeah. And so that was one of the things I was thinking about before we came into the podcast when I was in my cloud. I was just like, how am I going to tell all these people to hang in there and keep their lives happy when my life just fucking sucks ass right now, you know? And then you read me that letter and I was like, you know what? My life doesn't suck ass. And I don't think the person who wrote you that letter, their life
Mm-hmm.
is now. I just know what they're going through, and to be able to be anchored down by that perspective makes me realize like it's not that bad. And even for them, it is hard right now for this person who wrote us. I know it's hard for them because I've absolutely been there, but I also know that where I'm at now is better than where I was at before. So I need that perspective to remember that. And this person who wrote us needs to know that too, that where they're at now, it gets better if they just stick with it. If you just stick with it, hang in there, like our letter H, you just hang in there and do the work on yourself emotionally, and I'd even recommend, if you're not doing meetings, to check out Mishka's book. Mishka's book is great.
Dude, that's yes.
Mhm.
So anybody who's in early recovery, 100% go read any of his stuff, but the one
Yeah,
that's on Audible, it's on Audible only. It's called Cold Turkey, and
it's
it's
great.
basically about the first 30 days. But
Yeah.
I think that it applies to the first 60, the first 90.
Yes.
I think even the first year, you can apply these tools that he gives you for the first 30 days at any
Yeah.
point. And he's, it's it I wish I would have had this, man. I
Me
think back to
too.
those
Me
first
too.
fucking that
Hmm.
for even the first 6 months, like
Hmm.
to have some notion that like, oh, there's a plan I can make. Cause I don't know about you, but when I first got sober, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just not gonna do
Well,
anything.
I'd go to meetings and they'd be like, work these steps. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do I work this? What does that mean? And they're like, work with a sponsor. And so then I'd find a sponsor. And then even with the sponsor, it'd be like, well, you need to write a list out and then think about the list. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't even know where I'm at right now. Like, this is too, you know what I mean? There was no
Hmm.
tangible. That's the problem I always had with the rooms, is to me, it just seemed untangible because everybody did it their own way. There was no manual. There was no slot A and slot, tab B or whatever. And when I
Hmm.
read the Mishka book, I was like, this is a fucking manual. Like, this worked for Mishka, might work for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I think it was great. I didn't read This Naked Mind, but I know she goes into the psychology of it more than anything else. And I think there is another book out there that is like Mishka's but more clinical, and I can't remember the name of the
Hmm.
doctor now.
Hmm. I read This
That's
Naked
nice.
Mind, and yeah, she goes more into the psychology of it, and her perspective. Um, I think too, for me, being in the program of AA, I think, and she doesn't discount it, but she's not necessarily a fan of it. And I
Right.
think there was a certain twinge of like my pride was hurt, or I felt I had like,
Right.
oh, what do you mean?
You're all
It's a
connected.
good
Yeah.
program. And I'm like, well, wait a second,
You do
John.
say
Is that
bad things about my social club. Cherish.
And so she just has a different perspective. And I thought, okay, so I kind of fought through those feelings and I read it and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I didn't agree with her on some things. Like, I think the basic difference is, and this works for different people. Don't have a problem calling myself an alcoholic. I
Hmm.
don't have a problem explaining it to people. I don't have a problem there. For me, there's no real stigma. For some people there is, and she doesn't believe in that. And she doesn't even think, like, for me, it's a very binary thing. I do not drink, or I
Right.
do.
Right.
There's no,
Soft middle.
no, not at all.
Softer, easier path. Yeah.
No. So, but I think but people are different, right? Not everybody is as
Right.
fucking addicted to alcohol as I am.
Right. It all applies. Well, it's not a one size fits all thing. That's
Hmm.
why I liked Mishka's book because I that was the size I would have fit in. If I would have
Hmm.
used that along with program, I don't know. I mean, I'm still sober now, so something I was doing has been working so far. So far, but
So far.
yeah. But I'd say, yeah, man. Just in early like that, it's hard. It's very hard early like that. And if you just, I remember someone writing on a card I got for my year anniversary, like the miracle's just around the corner. Wait 5 minutes or whatever. And I never fucking understood that. I was like, what does that mean? Until I had to like actually sit down and think about it. And it's basically their version of hang in there, baby.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The miracle's right. What is it? Just 5 minutes away or whatever. That shit is
Hmm.
just hang around and see what happens because it could or it couldn't. It's uncertain. But like it all ties in with you. Like if you don't try, all you're gonna get is no. You know.
Hmm.
So if you
And
don't hang in there, then all you're gonna get is drunk again, and that you
what's
already know how
yeah.
that works.
What's the alternative? Just fucking fall to your demise, Jerry?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
So why wouldn't I hang in there? Because I already know what that hole feels like. I already know what that pain
Yeah.
feels like. I already
Yeah.
know what that shit. I didn't like it then.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna like it now that I've been
Yeah.
sober for 5 years. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be like, oh, this wasn't so bad.
Child's play. You don't
Hmm.
need to revisit it. That's the thing. You
No.
don't need to. You don't need to. You
Mm-mm.
are not compelled to. No one is forcing you. You are
No.
not obligated to. You don't need to.
No. Um. So I think that what is it? Today's August. Whatever, August
Ah,
17th.
I
It's
don't
my it's
fucking
my
know.
brother's birth. It's my brother's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, John's brother.
Yeah. So the next week, gonna see how it goes, and I'm really gonna try and practice what we're preaching here, which is to hang in there and to remember that these the bad feelings are just as temporary as the good ones, and so that I should
Yes.
let
Mhm.
ones pass and enjoy the other ones and not
Right.
feel
Hmm.
so woe is me, because there's a lot of fucking blessings in my life right now.
Right. Right.
um, or good fortune, or whatever word you want to use. Luck, fortune, fate. But those things are not happening to me. I do have an active role in them. I
Yeah.
do put myself in a position to reap the benefits and be like, it's going to sound a little corny, but you can't, you,
Pouring it
you
up.
can't, you,
I wouldn't
you
expect any more from you, dude. Just do it, you know?
You can't be in the sunlight if you don't go outside, Jerry.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, it's absolutely right though,
Right?
right?
Like that just
But it
occurred to me.
also
Like,
reads like one of those quotes I do on a
uh-huh.
22-year-old girl named Kelsey that I
Yeah.
tattoo on. Yeah, you can't be in the sunlight unless you go outside, Jerry. Even the coldest ice melts into the warmest water, Jerry. But it's,
But
hey, man,
these things
hey,
are true. So we laugh,
yes,
we joke,
yes. Mhm.
but I gotta keep that in mind so that I don't find myself, because I don't need, you know what? I don't need alcohol to let my alcoholism take over, right? I
No,
don't
you
need to
don't. That's
drink. I
the
can be
tricky
miserable.
shit. Mhm.
I can be depressed. I can be angry. I can be sad. I don't need alcohol to help me with that. I've been doing that on my own, since before I started
I,
drinking. So,
I would love to explore that on a later podcast. No,
okay.
I want to end it now, but I think that's
Yes.
a really interesting concept because when I say to people, "Oh, I'm an alcoholic," they're like, "Well, no, you quit drinking. You're not an alcoholic anymore." And I'm like, there's a simple trick to
Mhm.
it, buddy. And I think that concept of you don't need alcohol to act alcoholically is really interesting. Yes, because I remember hearing dry drunk for the first time when I was a kid and being like, that don't make no sense. How are you gonna be dry and drunk? And I think that concept of acting alcoholically without alcohol is very interesting. We'll jam it in there somewhere. We'll jam it. We'll jam it
Next week.
next
Or,
week on A is for Alcoholic.
Mhm.
And it's just like every episode's like a Seinfeld episode.
God. Oh, Jared.
I'm not doing that Seinfeld impersonation. I have been watching all the Jurassic Park movies with my kid though, and Newman is in the first one.
Is she loving it?
Yeah, we're on the very last one now. We watched like all fucking 6 of them or however many. There's 5
Jesus.
of them.
You watched the
Now
Vince
we're-
Vaughn and the Chris
All
Pratt
the
and all
Vince
that?
Vaughn and the Chris. We just did Chris Pratt last night. We'll probably do Fallen Kingdom tonight, and then I'm like, what do you want to move on to next? Because there's not going to be another Jurassic Park movie for at least a year. They're filming it out of country.
Mhm.
I don't know. I suggested Lord of the Rings. She was like, no. And then she's like, and I'm not doing Star Wars either. And I'm like, well, fuck, dude. I don't know what to tell you then. Just you can just go over there then.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.